Well, today we're digging into a truly unsettling piece of work, Henry James's The Turn of the Screw, looking closely at some key excerpts.
It's a masterclass, really. Yeah.
Absolutely. Not just your average ghost story. It's built to make you doubt everything. Who do you trust? What's real?
And the setup itself is brilliant. It kicks off, not immediately at Bly, the main setting, but years later, Christmas Eve.
Right, the classic ghost story setting.
Exactly. Friends sharing stories. And this character, Douglas, he kind of ups the ante. He hears a story about one haunted child and says, hold on, I know a truly horrible one. With two children.
And that's the title, isn't it? That extra turn of the screw doubles the horror. Douglas then mentions he has the actual manuscript written by the governess herself.
Penned in this beautiful, faded handwriting. It belonged to his sister's governess years ago. So we're getting the story secondhand, even thirdhand, which adds another layer of, uncertainty.
So who is this governess?
She's young, very young, inexperienced, a country parson's daughter. She gets hired in London by this wealthy bachelor. He's handsome, charming.
And she's immediately smitten.
Completely. James makes that very clear. She's socially out of her depth, quite overwhelmed, and frankly infatuated with him.
Which probably explains why she agrees to his utterly bizarre condition.
It is bizarre. He tells her, look, you take charge of my niece, Flora, and my nephew, Miles, down at my country estate, Bly. Lovely place. But, and this is the kicker, you must never, ever contact me.
Never. About anything.
Never write, never complain. Don't trouble him about the children at all. She has to handle everything herself. Total responsibility, zero support.
Wow, that's a huge red flag.
Huge. But for her, remember her background and her infatuation, it doesn't sound like a red flag. It sounds like a challenge, a chance to prove herself.
She feels rewarded just for agreeing.
Exactly. Rewarded for taking on this impossible burden. It makes her feel important, competent. But what it really does is cut her off completely. She's alone out there, the sole judge of what's happening at Bly. Disaster waiting to happen, really.
Okay, so she takes the job, makes the vow of silence, and heads off to Bly. And her first impression?
It's overwhelmingly positive. She expects something maybe a bit gloomy or neglected.
Given the circumstances, yeah.
But no, it's what she calls a good surprise. Big house, broad, clear front, fresh curtains, manicured lawns, the sound of the carriage wheels on the gravel. It's grander than she even imagined. Beyond his promise, she says.
She's flattered by it all.
Utterly. But you get the sense, reading it, that it's almost too perfect, like a stage set. Beautiful, isolated, perfect for trapping someone.
And the little girl, Flora, who's already there.
Flora fits right into this perfect picture. The governess thinks she's the most beautiful child she's ever laid eyes on, full of this deep, sweet serenity, like a little angel.
She really needs this to be perfect, doesn't she?
Desperately. Her self-worth is all tied up in this job, this fantasy of the master and his perfect little world. Then she meets the housekeeper, Mrs. Gross.
And Mrs. Gross seems normal enough at first.
Oh, yes. Described as stout, simple, plain, clean, wholesome. A pillar of sense, you'd think.
Yeah.
But the governess notices something. Subtle.
What's that?
Mrs. Gross seems so relieved to see her, almost too relieved, like she's positively on her guard against showing it too much.
Why would she be that relieved unless the last governess?
Exactly. It's the first little crack in the perfect facade. A hint that maybe the job wasn't so easy before. Bly might look perfect, but there's an unease there.
And that tiny crack becomes a huge fissure pretty quickly, doesn't it? Before Miles even arrives home from school.
Bang. A letter arrives from the employer. And inside it is another sealed letter. This one from Miles's headmaster.
And the employer. True to his word, he offers zero help.
Worse than zero. His instructions are just chillingly detached. Read him, please. Deal with him, but mind you don't report. Not a word. I'm off. Just like that. Hands completely washed.
And the headmaster's letter.
Devastating. The school absolutely declined to have Miles back. He's expelled. Dismissed.
Why? Does it say?
It doesn't explicitly say why. Which forces the governess to leap to the worst conclusion. She immediately assumes he must be corrupting the others. An injury to the others is how she puts it.
That's a heavy charge, especially in Victorian times. Contamination.
It's extreme. And for the governess who's trying so hard to maintain this perfect image and prove herself, it's a massive blow. This perfect child, part of this perfect setup, is tainted.
How does Mrs. Gross react?
Pure denial. She bursts into tears. Master Miles! Him an injury. She just can't believe it. She pleads with the governess. See him, miss, first. then believe it.
So we have this stark contrast again. The hard evidence of the letter versus Mrs. Gross's gut feeling, her faith in the boy.
Precisely. And it sets up this central conflict. What do you trust? The external fact or the internal feeling?
And when Miles actually shows up,
The letter might as well not exist. Miles arrives, and he is incredibly beautiful. He has this positive fragrance of purity, this air of knowing nothing but love. He's angelic, utterly captivating.
so the governess just forgets the letter.
Instantly. The charge doesn't live an instant in his presence. His beauty, his apparent innocence, it just overwhelms the accusation.
So what do? The governess and Mrs. Gross.
They make a pact, a secret. They decide together they won't tell the uncle about the expulsion, and they won't tell Miles either. They'll handle it themselves. Protect him. Keep the secret.
Oh, this is bad.
It's the moment the trap really snaps shut. She feels powerful, lifted aloft on a great wave of infatuation and pity. She thinks she's being heroic, managing this delicate situation, proving she's this remarkable young woman.
But she's just digging herself deeper into isolation.
Exactly. She chooses the story she wants to believe over the evidence she has. And by vowing silence, she cuts off her only potential lifeline. She takes complete ownership of this secret, which is exactly what the master wanted her to do. Handle everything. Alone.
It's a perfect setup for psychological breakdown, really. The power she gains by keeping the secret is the very thing that isolates and endangers her. A real catch-22.
Yeah, this feeling of control, this magnificent chance, it doesn't last very long. Bly, as her castle of romance, starts to crumble pretty quickly.
When does the first real crack appear?
During one of her evening walks. Her own hour, she calls it, when the children are asleep. She's strolling in the twilight.
Indulging that fantasy of the handsome master appearing?
Sort of half wishing he'd show up, yeah. To see how well she's doing, approve of her, validate everything.
And then she sees someone.
She sees someone, but it's the complete opposite of her fantasy. She looks up at one of the old house towers, and there's a man standing high up at the very top of the tower.
And the shock is instant.
Violent. Because it's not the master, it's a stranger. And the whole atmosphere just changes. The peaceful evening becomes suddenly dead. She says it was as if all the rest of the scene had been stricken with death.
Does he see her?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
He's very erect, not wearing a hat, just staring down at her. Hard. It lasts a while, too. He moves slowly across the top of the tower, watching her the whole time, then he's gone.
Terrifying. What does she make of it?
Well, she tries to rationalize it for a few days. Maybe a tourist, someone who wandered onto the grounds. But she knows, deep down, it felt wrong.
And then she sees him again.
Yes. A few days later, it's a miserable, rainy Sunday afternoon. She's inside, in the dining room. She looks up, and there he is again, peering straight in through the window. Just his upper body visible from the waist up.
Oh, God. That's much closer, much more direct.
And what really hits her this time is a sudden certainty. He's not there for her.
Not for her. Then who?
He had come for someone else. That's the thought that chills her to the bone. The threat isn't just to her job anymore. It's to the children.
And that pushes her into protector mode.
Completely. She rushes outside, confronts the empty space where he was, then stands there herself, looking back into the house, which is when Miss Gross finds her.
How does she look?
White as a sheet. Rigid. Terrified. Mrs. Gross is alarmed, obviously, and the governess feels compelled to describe him, to tell someone what she saw.
And the description is quite specific, isn't it?
Very specific.
Yeah.
Which is crucial. She details everything. His red, close curling hair, pale face, straight features, strange red whiskers, those sharp, fixed eyes, wide mouth, thin lips.
And his clothes.
Right. Smart clothes, she says, but they don't quite fit him properly, like they belong to someone else in somebody's clothes.
That detail about the clothes, that's the giveaway, isn't it?
It's the key, that class marker. Because Mrs. Gross hears that description, especially the clothes bit, and she knows instantly. Horror dawns on her face. Quint, she whispers.
Peter Quint. Who was he?
The master's valet, his personal servant. Mrs. Gross says he was handsome, carried himself well, but was too free with everyone. A bit above his station, maybe. That explains the ill-fitting gentleman's clothes.
And the most important detail.
Peter Quint is dead.
Dead.
Died suddenly. Slipped on an icy patch on the road from the village one winter evening. Apparently after leaving the pub. Head injury. Instant death.
So the governess isn't seeing a trespasser. She's seeing a ghost.
A ghost tied to Bly. Tied to its recent hidden history. But James isn't done. One ghost isn't enough for that turn of the screw.
There has to be another one. For Flora.
Exactly. The focus shifts. The governess is outside with Flora near the lake, which they apparently call the Sea of Azov.
And she sees
Another figure. Across the water. A woman in black, pale and dreadful.
Miss Jessel, the previous governess.
That's who it turns out to be. But the real horror here isn't just seeing the second ghost. It's Flora.
What about Flora?
Flora is only about 10 yards away from the governess, and the governess is absolutely convinced that Flora sees the woman in black too. But the child, she just keeps playing.
Pretends not to notice.
Utterly. Intense focus on her little game with a piece of wood and a sail, maintaining this astounding self-possession, like she's deliberately ignoring the apparition.
Chilling, that implies. Complicity. Or at least knowledge.
It's the first big sign that the children might not be passive victims here, that they might know more than they let on, or worse, that they're actively deceiving her.
So she confronts Mrs. Gross again.
Yes, describes the woman in black, and Mrs. Gross confirms it. Miss Jessel, the governess who came before her.
And what was her story?
Mrs. Gross is initially reluctant, but eventually confirms Miss Jessel was a lady, unlike Quint, but she became infamous.
Infamous how?
Through her relationship with Quint, the gentleman's valet and the lady governess. A huge scandal in that rigid Victorian hierarchy, Mrs. Gross puts it bluntly. They were both infamous.
So Miss Jessel left Bly.
She left, yes. Mrs. Gross says she couldn't have stayed. And then the final confirmation, Miss Jessel paid for it. She's dead too.
So two ghosts, both infamous, both dead, both connected to the house and presumably the children.
And crucially, representing this shocking breach of social and moral order. For the governess, these aren't just spirits. They're symbols of corruption, of contamination. And she fears that contamination has spread to the children.
Okay, so now she knows who or what she's dealing with. Two ghosts, Peter Quint and Miss Jessel. How does this change things for her?
It fundamentally shifts her perspective. She becomes convinced the ghosts aren't there for her. They're not trying to scare her away.
They want the children.
Yes. Quint is after Miles. Jessel is after Flora. He wants to appear to them, she tells Mrs. Gross. It's about reclaiming them, corrupting them further.
And the children's behavior feeds into this theory.
Completely. Their silence becomes the key evidence for her. The fact that neither Miles nor Flora has ever mentioned Quint or Miss Jessel, that Miles never brought up his expulsion. She sees this not as innocence, but as proof.
Proof of what?
Proof of their secret knowledge. Their inconceivable communion with these dead spirits. Their silence isn't just silence, it's a cover-up, a conspiracy.
So the beautiful angelic children
are suddenly suspect. They're more than earthly beauty. They're absolutely unnatural goodness. It stops being comforting and starts looking like a performance, a mask.
A game, she calls it. A policy and a fraud.
Exactly. She convinces herself they're not innocent victims. They're actively participating, steeped in their vision of the dead restored. They belong to the ghosts now. They're not mine. They're not ours. They're his and they're hers.
She's basically declared war. Her role isn't just governess anymore.
No, she's now the rescuer, the exorcist. Her mission is to save their souls from these spectral predators. And she feels she gets a sign that she can win.
They encounter on the staircase.
Right. She sees Quint again on the landing. It's dark. Her candle even blows out. But she sees him clearly, just as he looked on the tower in the garden.
But this time she's not scared.
Not at all. She feels this fierce rigor of confidence, like her own moral certainty, her purity, is a weapon.
And what happens?
She stands her ground, stares him down, and he vanishes.
Which for her proves
she's stronger, that her righteousness can defeat them. It hugely boosts her confidence, validates her mission. She feels almost invincible.
But defeating the ghosts is one thing. Defeating the children's silence is another.
Much harder. Right after this victory over Quint, she finds Flora. Where? Out of bed, looking out the window into the dark grounds.
Just like Quint was looking in earlier.
Exactly. The parallel is obvious to the governess. She challenges Flora, "What were you doing?" And Flora denies everything. Just wide-eyed innocence. But the governess doesn't buy it for a second. She lied, she concludes, absolutely convinced.
She's putting the screws on them now, isn't she?
Oh, yes. She starts pressing Mrs. Gross harder, too, asking about Miles's past behavior. Did he ever lie before? Was he really close to Quint?
And Mrs. Gross admits some things.
Reluctantly, yes. She admits Quint and Miles were perpetually together, that Miles sometimes denied things that Mrs. Gross knew he'd done. The governess latches onto this. He lied. Later, Mrs. Gross even works out that Miles must have intercepted and destroyed letters between the governesses before, stolen them.
So the house becomes this pressure cooker of suspicion, And silence.
Unbearable. Claustrophobic. The governess feels the children are acutely aware of her struggle, her suspicion. They have this ironic consciousness, she thinks. They carefully avoid any topic that gets near the forbidden ground, the ghosts, Jessel, the expulsion.
And then something else happens that terrifies her even more.
She starts to feel blind. She stops seeing the ghosts herself.
Why would that be terrifying? Shouldn't it be a relief?
Not for her, because her interpretation is chilling.
Yeah.
Maybe she can't see them anymore precisely because the children can, that their eyes were most opened.
Oh. So maybe the ghosts are visiting, but only when she's around to act as a sort of shield or distraction.
That's her fear, that when she's with them, they had visitors who were known and were welcome, that the children are secretly entertaining the very specters she's trying to banish.
So how do the children act during this period?
They double down on the perfection. They become almost hyper-performative, reciting lessons flawlessly, displaying amazing memory, unimposed little miracles, she calls it. It's like they're working overtime to seem absolutely normal, impeccably innocent.
To cover up their secret life.
That's her unwavering conviction. And they also keep up this subtle, almost polite pressure on her isolation. They keep asking again and again.
When do you think he will come? Referring to the uncle.
Yes. Does she think we had her right? They know she can't contact him. They know that's her weakness, the condition she agreed to. So they keep dangling the idea of the uncle, the only person who could possibly intervene, right in front of her.
Weaponizing her own promise against her.
It's psychological warfare, conducted with cherubic smiles. Absolutely masterful manipulation, if that's what it is. Or perhaps just innocent questions twisted by her own paranoia.
This tense standoff, this psychological warfare, it can't last forever. Something has to give.
And it's Miles who finally breaks the stalemate. He initiates what the governess calls the revolution.
When does this happen?
They're walking to church one Sunday morning. Seemingly peaceful moment. But Miles, with that unnerving composure of his, drops the bombshell.
He asks about school.
Right out of the blue. When in the world, please, am I going back to school? He knows this hits her where she's vulnerable.
And he presses the point, doesn't he? Uses his age, his gender.
Oh, completely. He delivers this calculated line. For a fellow to be with a lady, always, implying it's unnatural, holding him back. He says he wants to see more life, be with my own sort.
He's challenging her authority directly.
And using his charm to do it. He's maneuvering her, backing her into a corner. She tries to deflect, saying she'll think about it, but he pushes harder.
He asks about the uncle.
The killer question. Does my uncle think what you think? He knows she can't tell him the truth about the expulsion, about the uncle's indifference. She can only stammer something weak about the uncle caring.
And Miles sees his chance.
He makes his move. He declares, bold as brass, I will get the uncle to come down. He's threatening to break her isolation himself, to go over her head.
That must have shattered her.
Completely. She feels overwhelmed, defeated by this 10-year-old boy's power play. She actually flees back to the house alone, leaving him, presumably, to continue to church with Mrs. Gross and Flora.
And when she gets back to the house,
she finds Miss Jessel in the schoolroom, sitting at the governess's own desk.
In broad daylight.
Clear daylight.
Wow.
Looking dishonored and tragic, sitting there, her arms on the table. Not threatening exactly, but present, occupying her space.
What does that signify for the governess?
It's like the ghost is saying, my right to be here is as good as yours. The failure of the previous governess confronting the current one, challenging her legitimacy, her very identity in that role.
Does this break her or strengthen her resolve?
It seems to galvanize her. She decides she has to act, force the issue, separate the children, get the uncle involved, despite her promise, her plan, send Flora away with Mrs. Gross immediately, to London, to the uncle.
To force his hand. And to save Miles, presumably, by getting Flora away from Bly's influence.
That seems to be the idea. But just as she's steeling herself for this, Mrs. Gross drops another bombshell.
What now?
Remember that letter the governess had written to the uncle earlier, pouring out her fears, but hadn't sent?
Yes.
Miles stole it, found it, read it, and burned it.
Oh my God. He knew exactly what she was planning.
He anticipated her move, cut off her attempt to break the isolation again. He's always one step ahead.
But she decides to confront Flora anyway, before sending her off.
Yes. One last attempt. She takes Mrs. Gross down to the lake where they find Flora playing. And according to the governess, Miss Jessel appears again, right there, close, as big as a blazing fire.
And she puts the question to Flora directly.
Where my pet is Miss Jessel, forces the confrontation.
Flora
Explodes. But not in fear, in fury, at the governess. Her face changes, becomes hideously hard. She sounds like a different child, vulgarly pert. And she denies everything,
What
viciously.
does she say?
I see nobody. I see nothing. I never have. I think you're cruel. I don't like you. Take me away from her. She completely turns on the governess.
Betrayal. And Mrs. Gross is watching this.
Mrs. Gross is watching, but she doesn't see Miss Jessel. She only sees Flora, hysterical, terrified, accusing the governess of cruelty.
So who does Mrs. Gross believe?
She believes the child's distress is real. Whether it's caused by ghosts or by the governess's intensity, Flora is clearly suffering. Mrs. Gross sides with the child. She takes Flora away.
Leaving the governess totally isolated.
Utterly. Mrs. Gross later reports Flora became feverish and was saying horrors about the governess. The children, or perhaps the situation itself, have successfully framed her as the source of the terror.
Which leaves her alone with Miles for the final showdown.
The stage is set. Just the two of them, in the dining room significantly, the room where she first saw Quint at the window. She confronts Miles about the stolen letter.
Does he admit it?
Yes. He seems nervous, keeps glancing at the window. He admits he took it and burned it. To see what you said about me, he confesses. He says he's tired of Bly, he wants to get away.
And does she finally get the truth about the expulsion?
She presses him. Was it stealing? No, he says. Finally, he confesses, I said things.
Said things. What things?
He doesn't specify exactly, just that he said things to those I liked, things that were apparently too bad for the school to even write home about, suggesting some kind of corrupting influence, maybe indecent talk, moral corruption, not theft.
So the governess feels she's finally got it, the proof of his corruption.
She's almost there. She has his confession. But just as this happens,
Quint appears.
at the window, the hideous author of our woe, she calls him, his white face of damnation.
What does she do?
Instinctively, she grabs Miles, holds him tight, trying to keep his back to the window, shielding him from the sight she believes will destroy him, or perhaps prove her case definitively.
Does Miles sense him?
She thinks so. He seems aware of her presence, even if you can't see it. He cries out, confused.
Is she here? Miss Jessel? Miss Jessel?
Right. He names the ghost he presumably last saw, the one associated with Flora's breakdown.
But the governess knows it's not Jessel.
And this is her moment. Her proof is slipping away. She corrects him, almost fiercely. It's not Miss Jessel, but it's at the window. Whom do you mean by he? She needs him to name Quint.
And does he?
He does. In utter desperation or confusion, facing her intense pressure, he cries out, Peter Quint, you devil! Where?
He names him. The governess has won.
In her mind, yes. This is her absolute personal triumph. She flings her victory at the now empty window. I have you, but he has lost you forever. And she turns back to Miles, almost presenting him as evidence. There. Look, my work is done.
And Miles, what does he do?
He turns, looks towards the window where Quint supposedly was. But he sees nothing, just the quiet day.
And then?
He looks back at the governess, at her face, which she describes as little, beautiful, fevered. He lets out this terrible sound, the cry of a creature hurled over an abyss.
And the final line?
Chilling. We were alone with a quiet day, and his little heart, dispossessed, had stopped.
He's dead. He dies right at that moment of supposed salvation.
The ultimate turn of the screw. He names the ghost, seemingly confirming the governess's reality, and then dies, either because the demon leaving him killed him, or, well, for other reasons.
It leaves us completely stunned. Her victory is his death.
Exactly. James leaves us right there, in that silence after the cry. The governess feels she achieved her demonstration. She was blind with victory. But was she?
That's the question, isn't it? The great ambiguity that makes the story so haunting. Was she a heroic savior battling real demons, even at a terrible cost?
Or was her own intensity, her obsession, her fear, fueled by her isolation and maybe her own psychological state? Did that suffocate him? Did her desperate grip trying to save him from a phantom literally crush his heart?
You, the listener, have to decide. Was the horror supernatural, or was it psychological, or maybe terrifyingly both?
This deep dive really makes us confront the possibility that the most dangerous ghosts aren't always the ones outside the window. Sometimes they're the ones driving our own actions. The cost of the governess's victory at Bly is absolute, regardless of what you believe about Quint and Jessel. And that chilling ambiguity is what Henry James forces us to live with.